Hi there. One of the most common questions that I get from parents is, how do I get my child to respect me? And the answer I'm going to give you is not one that you're necessarily going to love, but I ask you to please just hold on. Stick it out with me today. The answer is to respect our children. When we respect our children, they will learn to respect us. They will feel respected, which will allow them to then naturally be more respectful. Now, that doesn't mean that they're always going to be the perfect child and not have any concerns or tantrums or things like that. But overall, the message of respect will be there mutually, right? We respect them, they respect us, and that's something I'm going to help you understand a method on how to do that. So I've created a method called the FAIR method. So are you being a fair parent is really the question to ask yourself. F is actually stands for the word fair. A stands for acknowledgement. I is interest, and R is realistic expectations. So let me quickly elaborate on those for you just to get an idea of this. So the overall concept is to always ask yourself if I'm practicing being a fair parent, and that in situations where you feel like my child wasn't being very respectful, maybe they rolled their eyes or had a real attitude, then rather than immediately assume that they're being difficult or that they're a bad child or like an attitudey kind of kid, rather than immediately assume that, all I'm asking is that you pause, take a breath, and then ask yourself these questions, right? And going through the acronym FAIR. So, one, was I just being fair in that situation? Right? Am I practicing being fair? If I was really to look at this from sort of a bird's eye view, looking down on the scene, would everybody say that, wow, yeah, you're being totally fair in that? That's just one question to ask yourself. The second is acknowledgement. So, have I acknowledged where the child is at? Have I acknowledged if they're extremely tired today, if they have something going on at school, if their stressors are higher, is there something happening at home that might be affecting them? Right. So, have I acknowledged where they're at? The third question to ask yourself is, have I been taking an interest in the child, or am I always talking about what I feel they need to do? So, like, do I feel they need to go do their homework? Do I feel they need to get ready for soccer? I mean, am I always task oriented, or am I slowing down and taking an interest in my child? Because when they feel like we take an interest in them and what they want to do or talk about, then they also feel more respected, which then allows the mutual respect back. And the final one is a really important one, is the R, which is, am I being realistic with my expectations of them, right? In that situation specifically and in general. You can look at this in terms of development, right? A lot of times we think our children should be able to do something when they're not actually at that stage of development yet. In my book, I do talk quickly about the stages of development and some expectations there. But the idea here is that sometimes our children appear very skilled in one area and really advanced in one area. And then when they're not doing something sort of on par with that in another area of their life, then we have very unrealistic expectations. And then we say things like, you should be able to do that. You should have done that. Why would you do that? And then what ends up happening is the shoulds leads to shame in our children. And we really don't want our children to feel shame because, as you know, none of us like feeling shame. It's not really that helpful anymore in the society we live in today. It doesn't serve any purpose. So we want to be conscious of that and recognize that, when we are practicing being a fair parent, we are respecting our children, and that will result in them respecting us in return. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye bye.